And so, Miss Sarah,
I was born the 26th of September, 1925, in Oran, Algeria. And to my father and mother, Mr. and Mrs. Cohen, and my father had a store, a dry goods store, and after me, we had 4 more children, and we lived a pretty good life. It was 1925 until 1938 when I started to have problems with Germany, and eventually Germany invaded France, 1939, and it was a difficult time for us, very difficult time, because being Jewish and then anti-Semitism was very strong in our home, very strong. And we anticipated the Germans to come too, which they did. The Gestapo was there before, or maybe 1940 they started to come. But we were very lucky. The brave Americans who landed in North Africa, the 8th of November 1942, they came and they delivered us, because after this it was like being reborn. We were so scared every day, so scared. And they were good to the French people there because they offered employment, which I took, and I started working for the American Red Cross. I didn't know English then, but I learned as I went along. And after this, that's when they were looking for people to work as switchboard operators in France. Now, the war was still going on in France, and they wanted someone in the switchboard who could translate for the French army, between the French army and the American army. So that's where we came in. They recruited about 18 or 20 of us, and we boarded the plane, as I said, on the 5th of May, 1945.
Wow.
I will never forget that. And so we went to Marseille first, and from there we were sent to Cherbourg. And from Cherbourg we went to Deauville. Deauville was the headquarters. And we worked on the switchboard, and many times we were translating for the French army. Also, if the military police needed a translator, they would come and get one of us to translate. They had anything that was going on at the military police, we would go and help out there. But it was a interesting time, very interesting time. And then 6 months we stayed there, and then we came back home.
How old were you at that time? How old were you at that time?
I was, well, when I came home,
No, when you...
when I left, I was 19 years
Wow.
old. I had never left home. And I was surprised my father let me go, but he did. He said, if that's what you want to do, I know you can do it, and you'll be fine. And I went, and it was fine. I made a lot of good friends. And it was an interesting time.
Well, you were a brave young woman at that time also. That was
Yes.
amazing for women at that time. You know, we're not really allowed to
At
do
that
a
time,
lot.
women did not leave their home, much less going in a wartime, you know. But I was able to see Cherbourg was terrible sight. Terrible. Almost all destroyed. As a matter of fact, we lived in a house that was half bombed. So only half of the house stood up, and we lived there.
And you made the best of what you had to do.
It didn't bother me.
No?
When you're young, I don't think anything bothers you.
No.
But Deauville was beautiful. It's like Newport. It's a resort, the northern France. It's in Normandy. And of course, we still had the leftover of the German,
Artillery.
I don't know how you call it,
Bunkers.
bunkers, yeah. They were all over the beach and on the side there, but to remind you what happened before that. But I just have to mention this. One day we were on the switchboard and we could hear a lot of boots in the room, a lot of noise, and supervisor was very strict. We're not supposed to take our eyes off the board. Don't take your eyes off the board. But curiosity got the best of me. And I turned my head a little bit to see who was watching us, and it was General Eisenhower.
Wow. That's amazing.
It was very exciting that day. Very exciting, yeah.
In Normandy.
In Normandy, yes. He wanted to see how we were working on the switchboard, and very interesting, yeah.
Now that had to make you feel really, very proud.
Yes, oh yes.
This was
and then I came home after, and I just want to tell you this little thing that happened. No, it was a big thing because, of course, I was a little homesick. And one morning in Normandy, we got up early to go to breakfast and then to work. And we see these two soldiers, French soldiers, coming towards us. And we were warned there was a lot of deserters. And beware, you know. So we said, no, we can't, we got to avoid them. But they were coming right at us. And one of them had a smile from ear to ear, looking at me. And I recognized my brother that I hadn't seen for 3 years.
Oh, how amazing.
So there was a moment. There was a moment, really. I was so excited, so excited. Good things happen. Good things happen.
It's a small world after all,
yes.
Isn't it?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
You know, you'd be surprised who you see and who you run into. How wonderful was that? So from there, where did you go?
I went back home.
Back to Algeria.
In Oran, Algeria.
Okay.
And I worked for the Red Cross again. But they were leaving. And they had a base in Port Laoudi, French Morocco, Navy base. And the director there told me, if you want to, you can come to Port Laoudi. I said, all right, because there was no job where I was. Of course, all the jobs were given to veterans, understandably. And so I went to Port Laoudi, and the first day I got there, my shoe broke. And I was in the cafeteria, and the sailor shows up, and I was saying in French, I can't work with that broken shoe, and he understood French. He said, I'll fix it for you right away. I thought, my God, who's this guy? And are you sure? Yes, I'll come right back with it. And he had it fixed in 1 hour, came back, and looked at me and said, I'm going to marry you. And he did.
Wow.
And he did.
That is amazing.
Yes.
That's a love story. See?
Yes, it is. It is.
And from there you married.
We lived in Port Laoudi after we were married. We didn't get married until a year and a half after. And we lived on the base. No, not on the base, outside the base. And then it was time to go home. So all the wives, the wives that were married, the French wives were sent with their husband back to the States. And we arrived here in Worcester Airport. It was a military base, the 8th of August, 1948.
Wow. 1940. So you lived a few years after the war.
Oh, yes.
Over there.
From Worcester, we went to Lowell.
Okay.
And then, of course, Patrick was sent to, his boat went on a 6 months out to sea. And when he came back, he said, my ship is in Newport, Rhode Island, so this is where we're going. And we came here in January of 1949 with our new girl. We had a baby girl then, and lived here in a furnished apartment in Newport for a little while. And then after we went to Park Home, and from Park Home we bought a house on Friendship Street, and that's where we lived there for quite a while, brought up our 4 children. And after this, Patrick, my husband, and I helped my family come over. My mother,
wow,
who was a widow, with my young brother, they came first, and then my sister, and then my other brother and his wife. And so most of my family, we're a family of 6 children, and 4 of the children came to this country to live.
All because of you
And
and
I've
your
been
husband.
here ever since, yeah. We had my husband got involved in a restaurant, Pet's Diner, on Broadway. And then after he wanted to go, it wasn't his style of cooking. So he went and got a job at the Wharf Tavern in Warren.
Wow.
He was there for a long time, and I ran the restaurant. But then after a while, we sold it because it was too much work for me and bringing up my 4 children. And I ended up working for the People's Credit Union. So
Okay.
I learned a lot. Anything, I can do anything.
And that's the spirit
all along,
right there.
All along, I have to mention this. I've made the best of friends, lasting friendship.
Mm-hmm.
People that I met in the beginning are still my friends.
Isn't that?
And they were all good to me, very good to me. I never met anyone that wasn't good and giving. I'm just so happy and proud to be an American. Of course, I was, the words escapes me, but naturalized
Yes.
American in 1950, I think, yeah.
But you get what you give, and you give back, and you've always given.
I hope so.
So that's why your friends
I hope so, yes.
are still with you to this day. And look at your family around you.
Oh, I am so blessed, so blessed. And all of them, they're just wonderful person. This is what counts. Not to have a lot to be successful, but to be a good person and to be able to help others too. It's what matters the most, I think.
The bottom
And at
line.
the end, is where I stand now, this is what counts. What you did for humankind. Not what you gave, but what you did for them.
What you did. That is amazing. That's the thing that the core that is missing, I think, in today's world, and I think we've got to get back to it very quickly.
Yes, yes.
But just what you're saying here, oh my God.
But
wonderful.
I think sometimes, my goodness, I've been around a long time. I've seen so many things, good and bad, but mostly good.
Well, that's what your grandchildren
good,
and your
yeah.
great-grandchildren can get from you,
Oh.
is this knowledge, and to realize, I hope when they hear this,
I hope
you
so.
know, the sacrifices and the work that you put in to get to where you are today.
Well, oh yes, I came here to Newport. I knew no one, and it was tough because you long to talk to somebody, and in the same house where we lived, furnished apartment, there was a French couple from France, and we were friends until the end.
So you still have some of your friends around?
Oh yes.
I knew you lost Patrick a few years ago. I
Yes,
remember
yes,
going to
we
the wake.
And I lost a lot of good friends too.
But you're still here to watch out to make sure that everybody remembers. And that's
Yes,
what this
yes,
is all
yeah.
about right here. So I'm so glad, Miss Sarah, that you
This
took
is
the
my
time today.
story.
And it's a great story, and I loved hearing every second of it. And I can't wait to
Well,
send this off
And
to...
it's nice of you to take the time to do this.
Oh, it's my honor.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to
Peter
shut these
was
down for
yeah,
a minute.
go ahead.
Okay, let me just shut those off.